In high school cafeterias, there's something about the noise, the clatter, and the way everyone pretends not to notice each other while secretly watching everything unfold. At Ridgewood High School, the lunchroom wasn't just about food, it was a battleground for status and reputation. It all went down on a Thursday, a day like any other, with the weather warming up and juniors and seniors eagerly counting down the days until summer break. Ava Blake had just finished her calculus exam and was heading to the lunch area, earbuds in her ears, backpack slung over one shoulder, and her favorite book, The Invisible Man, in hand. She was 16, sharp, observant, and quiet, just the kind of person who saw more than anyone realized but rarely spoke about it. She scanned the usual tables: athletes, drama kids, band geeks, influencers with their phones constantly out. Her usual spot by the window was already taken, so she adjusted her course and made her way toward a table in the middle of the cafeteria that still had a few empty seats. That's when she saw it, a backpack thrown right in the middle of the bench, as if to mark territory. She stopped and made eye contact with the guy whose bag it was. He was tall, a senior, with a buzzed blonde haircut and a varsity jacket. His name was Jake Armstrong, and everyone knew him, not for his accomplishments, but because of the way people skirted around him like he was a pothole on a road no one dared to fix. Ava walked over, calm as always. "Hey," she said, loud enough to be polite. "Can I sit here? Could you move your bag?" Jake didn't even glance up at her, continuing to pick at his tray. Then he smirked, tilting his head like he couldn't believe she was speaking to him. "Are you serious?" he asked, his voice flat. Ava nodded once. "Yeah, just need a seat." He leaned back exaggeratedly, as if her simple question had offended him. Then, glancing at his friends, two other seniors who were watching, he let out a short, mocking laugh. "This is the whole cafeteria, and you want to sit right here?" "It's not your table," Ava replied, still calm. "Just your bag." That was when things shifted. The smirk faded, his jaw tightened just a little, but Ava didn't flinch. She just waited, standing her ground. Jake grabbed the backpack slowly and moved it a few inches, just enough to clear a small spot. "There," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Go ahead." Most people would have just walked away or found another spot, but not Ava. She sat down smoothly, like she had expected this. She opened her book and started reading, occasionally glancing up when someone moved nearby. Jake, however, wasn't done. He kept talking to his friends, laughing loudly, trying to make himself the center of attention, but Ava remained unfazed. Minutes passed, and soon 10 minutes had gone by without her saying a word. Then Jake turned toward her, suddenly serious. "You think you're tough or something?" Ava looked up, confused. "Excuse me," Jake repeated, pushing his tray aside. "You think you're tough, sitting here acting like you don't care." Ava stared at him, not scared, just tired. She had seen this kind of performance before. "I'm just sitting here," she said. Jake stood up, leaning toward her. "Then sit somewhere else," he sneered. The cafeteria quieted down. People were starting to pay attention. Some reached for their phones. Ava closed her book slowly, deliberately. "I'm not moving," she said. Jake stepped closer, his hand coming down on the table with a loud thud. Then, the moment everyone would later talk about, he shoved her shoulder, not enough to knock her down, but just enough to make it clear he was serious. But Ava wasn't about to let that slide. Before we dive into what happened next, you have to understand something about Ava Blake. She wasn't just another girl trying to prove herself in high school. She didn't chase drama, didn't start fights, and wasn't interested in being anyone's hero. But she knew who she was. The world had already tested her a few times, and she had learned that being quiet didn't mean being weak. Ava lived with her mom, Emily, and her older brother Luke, in a modest apartment just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Nothing fancy, just clean floors, old furniture, and a lot of love that wasn't always said out loud but was felt in the way they took care of each other. Her mom worked long shifts as a nurse, often coming home past midnight. Her brother, Luke, was 19, a freshman in college, always reminding Ava not to let people walk all over her. "You don't have to bark," he once told her, "but you damn well better bite when the time comes." Ava wasn't born with a short temper. She didn't react to everything that annoyed her. But when she was 13, something happened at a park that changed everything. A man followed her too closely, said things he shouldn't have. Though she got away unharmed, her mom insisted she start Krav Maga for self-defense. At first, it was just to ease their minds, but Ava stuck with it, training year after year. By the time she was 16, she could disarm someone holding a bottle to her throat, break free from wrist locks, and use an opponent's weight against them. Most importantly, she had learned to control her reactions under pressure. But Ava never talked about it. Not at school, not on social media. She wasn't trying to show off. She was preparing for moments like this. At Ridgewood High, most people saw Ava as the quiet girl who never made waves. But she had been paying attention. She'd seen Jake shove smaller kids in the hallway, seen him mock a freshman until the kids stopped coming to school. She watched as teachers either ignored it or quietly asked him to tone it down, too scared of his reputation to do more. So when Jake pushed her in the cafeteria, Ava wasn't just reacting to one shove. She was responding to every time someone like him thought they could get away with it. She didn't panic. She didn't flinch. She stood up slowly, locking eyes with him, like she had all the time in the world. Jake laughed. "You standing up for real?" Ava didn't answer. He got closer. "You gonna cry or swing? 'Cause I ain't scared of either." The crowd around them went quiet. Phones were already out. Ava stepped back, her feet planted firmly on the ground. Her voice was calm but firm. "Don't touch me again." Jake scoffed. "Or what?" But Ava didn't flinch. She just stood there, calm as ever, like the eye of a storm. The air in the room seemed to change. It was like the temperature dropped, and everyone was holding their breath, waiting for what would happen next. Jake leaned in, trying to provoke her, but Ava didn't respond. He reached out to shove her again, this time with more force. But Ava moved with controlled precision. She shifted her weight, turned her shoulder, and let his shove roll right off her. She grabbed his wrist with one hand, pressed behind his elbow with the other, and with a quick pivot, sent him stumbling backward. He hit the cafeteria floor hard. The room was silent at first, then half the students gasped, while the other half didn't know what to say. Jake scrambled to his feet, his face red with embarrassment and anger. But Ava didn't move. She just stood there, her hands still open, posture relaxed, waiting. "You think this is funny?" Jake barked. Ava looked at him, calm and collected. "Are you done embarrassing yourself?" The cafeteria burst into whispers and laughs. Jake turned, muttering something under his breath, and walked off quickly. Ava sat back down, opened her book again, and continued reading, like nothing had happened. By the end of the day, the video of the incident had spread throughout the school. The next day, it was all anyone could talk about. People weren't talking about Jake's shove, they were talking about how Ava had handled it, how she hadn't flinched, hadn't lost control. When Ava was called to the office, the assistant principal, Mr. Larson, tried to keep the situation calm. He had already spoken with Jake's parents, who were considering transferring him out of the school. Ava didn't say much, she just nodded, understanding the gravity of what had happened. By Friday morning, the video had gone viral, shared on Instagram and TikTok, and Ava had become an unexpected sensation. But she wasn't interested in the fame. She wasn't looking for validation. She was simply a girl who had chosen to stand up for herself when pushed too far. The internet didn't care about her reasons. It only cared about the video. But Ava knew the truth. It wasn't about a seat, or about proving anything. It was about defending herself, and when she did it with control, with grace, and with strength.